I'm in Mary Kay.
Mary Kay, hey, well, I'm going to give you guys the three key traits to top 1% DD sales reps that really help them dominate their market. Whether you're selling Mary Kay or solar or roofing or pest control or whatever you're selling, there's so many different industries that are going to be on this thing. And, with 100, where are we at now? A couple hundred people. What I've noticed training thousands of people all over the world is there's a couple key traits, and that's what I really want to go on with you guys. But before I dive in, I really want to teach you guys how to learn, because the biggest problem with people on learning is they get on these webinars and then they're like, I'm here, and then you leave the webinar and you still suck and you're still not making money and you're still not, you know what I mean? And it's like, why didn't that work? And the problem is because you didn't work. And it's like, I'm doing a lot of work because I have to talk and I have to entertain, I have to keep you excited. And you could just sit there on the toilet, for all I know, camera off, and you're like, cool, I did this webinar thing, but you didn't really become better. And so as I go through this, I want you guys to do the work. And so we're actually going to be giving you guys a workbook and things like that after this. So you have an opportunity at the end to kind of get some access to some tools and opportunities. But I want you guys to take out your notes. I want you to have cameras on. I want you to be engaged. When I say, hey, I need a volunteer, I need you guys to be the first to pop on, because those are the kind of people that I see actually gain progress. And whether you've been doing this for 15 years, like I saw one of my best friends, James, hop on, to guys that have been doing this 6 months, to guys that have been doing this 6 days, I'm going to teach you guys some fire stuff that's really going to help you. And I've found, after training a lot of people over the years, this is some fire stuff that's going to really help you. So, and to that point, you guys can end up like these guys, like Ricky Ramirez, where his first year as a manager, he did 1,200 accounts, and then, started doing our stuff and sold 3,500 units his second year as a team. And then now they're doing 8,000. And just to see some of his, team growth, or guys like Branson Bowling, who he's out of Atlanta, did 2.8 million this last year and won a Golden Door. And it was really like his first year. And so, he jumped into a group of ours, Terminus, that has our training and it's been part of our programs for a long time. And, what's crazy is I've watched people, quickly, he was, just a baseball player, and quickly go to hit Golden Door. And for those that don't know what Golden Door is, in each industry we have an award that's the top 1%. So in solar, it's 100 points, meaning 200 installs if you close, 200 installs if you had somebody else close your deals and you're a setter, or 100 self-gen. Or pest control, this year it's 750,000 serviced, and in roofing it's 2.5 million. And Marshall Hawks, for example, 650,000 was the number before, but he did his 200 accounts his first year in 2020. And this last year he did 1,730 accounts and 1.523 million in revenue serviced in just 2024. And his best day was 34, where I watch people don't do that in a week, don't do that in a month. And what's crazy is just people like Sam Hunter, same thing, 165,000 in revenue to, with 300 accounts, to this last year doing over $1 million in pest control, his 5th year, and securing his 3rd Golden Door winning award, with just over 900 accounts. And so what's cool is a lot of people don't realize that to do these kind of numbers and to hit Golden Door and to, go service this much revenue, that's more than most companies in a small area will do. But to go back to this roofing side of things, what people don't realize is to go do, 2.5 million is probably 300-400 grand, 250 to 350 grand. And to do to do this much revenue, 1.5 million, he's probably making over $1 million something in just sales commission. And when you're like, cool, how do I make $1 million in sales commission, which all of these people have now, and in their young age, and all of these guys are under 25. It's not like you have to be, 40 years old doing this for 20 years. This is in their 3rd, 4th, 5th year. And it's not something you have to wait forever. And so a lot of you guys kind of feel like, if you're only in a different market and your neighborhood were different, then you could be successful. And if you're saying these things, I want you to ask yourselves these questions. You always put in the hours, but you still seem to fall short of your goals. And you're finding yourself in this pattern, right? Or maybe you do the same thing and say the same thing as these top reps, and you've got the same scripts, but they're all closing at a much higher rate. And maybe that's you. Or maybe you're the guy that's you want to take home bigger commission checks, and you're really trying to be one of the best, but you aren't exactly sure how, right? And so drop me in the chat if this is something you can relate to. One of the four things, put a me just in the chat and be like, that's me. Like, I'm just in this hamster wheel. I'm in this cycle of I see these guys on this stage every year getting this award, and then there's me, right? Well, I'm going to ask you guys a few simple questions. And I was there, guys. It's funny. I have a kid at this sales boot camp I just finished eating lunch with. His name's Drew. He just started at Vivint and finished his first year. And I was at Vivint, and I'll tell you a little bit about my story here in a second. But I want you guys, and it was so interesting. This was like 15 minutes ago, guys. 15 minutes. Me eating my chicken fajitas right here, and I literally brought some down, and I was like, wow, this is literally brought me back to my first summer. And so I want you to ask a couple questions. In order to become a top DD reps, you have to work hard, yes or no? Put it in the chat, yes or no? You have to work hard. This is like a dummy, easy question to answer, of course, right? And then if you put in more hours, you'll close more sales, right? Most people would say what? Yes. And everybody's like, oh, I'm working hard. I'm putting in the hours. I challenge you on what hours really is, to be honest. And I like the depends. Here we go. Daniel Patrick, he says, depends. Haha, it's a trick question. If you hustle hard, you'll be able to achieve financial freedom. Yes or no? And I see some not always now. I see some yeses. I see some, okay, now you guys are starting to second guess. Absolutely. If you hustle hard, you're going to achieve financial freedom. Then I'd ask guys like Brad, and guys ask that maybe you're in their 30, 40, 50s, and you're asking yourself, why do I not have financial freedom? I feel like I've been hustling my whole life, but I'm yet don't feel like I'm financially free. And this is the conundrum that I watch everybody run into is they're hustling. They're putting in the hours. They're like, oh, I'm working hard. And I'm like, yeah, but you're still not financially free. So if you answered yes to all this, then I have a question for you. Because I see a lot of questions here. And my big question, very simple, drum rolls. If I worked hard, and hard work was all it took, or how come we see reps close 5 times more deals than their peers, right? Like if reps only if it was only work ethic, then why is it that some guys are making and closing 5 times more, 10 times more? So me personally, my 6th year at Vivint, selling alarm systems, I did on average 10 times more than the average sales guy. So the average guy does 40 to 50 accounts in a summer. I did 400, so 10x the number. And I worked the same summer, the same amount of time, the same amount of hours. And it's like, if they work the same neighborhoods, then why is it that they're selling 10 times more? And so I've coached now tens of thousands of door-to-door sales reps and direct sales professionals. And what's crazy is I've started to catch on to some trends. I've written multiple books. I've coached many, many different industries on all the $1 billion level down to the $1 million level. And what's crazy is hosting the largest door-to-door conference in the world. We're going Canada this year. We're planning Australia next year. I don't think people realize some of the insight that I've found after working with some of the biggest companies down to the littlest guys. And I'm finding some of these patterns, and I believe we found a few answers, and I'm gonna let you guys be the judge, okay? So what happens is, before I share the secret sauce, I want you to know how important it is to know exactly, it's not to know the how we uncover it. Let me break this down. It's important to know these principles I'm about to teach, but it's more important to understand the background in which we came from to teach you these things. So we're in Canada, in Calgary, by the way. So we're coming to Calgary September 28th. So DDCon Canada is coming the end of September, save the calendar. So I think a lot of times people look at a guru on the internet and they go, oh, look at him. He just wanted to be Insta famous. And then they're like, what did he really do? But I want to share with you my background a little bit. And I started knocking doors in 2001 at age 11. And this is me in high school, so long-haired Sam again, senior year in high school. I was painting curves, doing magazines. And then I made my first six figures by the time I was 18. And I think a lot of people don't realize, I have a 19-year-old kid at my event right now. And I'm like, dude, like you didn't see me, what I was doing when I was 19 and the hours I put in and the amount of doors and the thousands of dollars and the commissions and the no's and the struggle in 2008. Guys, that's a long time ago. 2008, I started in alarms, and all the way, it took me till 2014 to actually go break some records. Like, do the math, guys. And I became the #1 rep at the biggest company in the world in door-to-door sales, which was Vivint. And they were now publicly traded, multi-billion-dollar acquisitions, things like that, with 3,000 sales reps. And this is why I found the irony of this kid after his first year is at my current sales boot camp. Yeah, it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. Exactly. And people are all like trying to be that overnight success. And I'm like, hold on, let me like give you some context here. And so this kid comes in, he's a professional scooterer. And this is why it was so cool. I was like, show me some videos. This kid's name's Drew. And he showed me his Instagram videos. He did a backflip over a Lambo and a Corvette. And he's like a professional scooterer. And I'm like, dope, I scooter door to door. And what I don't think a lot of people know about me is like, that's like, I was like, why are we walking when we could get on wheels? And I scooter door to door. And the amount of like people that made fun of me and this and that. And I was like, are you riding your scooter door to door? And he's like, well, no, not all the time. And I was like, you should ride it every day, bro. You're doing backflips. Like, you can show off to these kids. And I'm like coaching this kid as I'm eating lunch just before this. And I'm like, man, if I could take you and help you go and do what I did, like, I would love to do that. And he made 22 grand his first summer, and I made 20 grand my first year. I want you guys to remember, like, I want you to note that. My first entire year, I made 20 grand. And I think a lot of people, it's like an NBA player. It's like if you signed up in college a 5-year contract for $10 million, you're not going to get paid anything in your first 2 years because you're still in college, but they recruited you young. And then maybe year 3, you get to exercise and collect all the like 7-8 million of your contract. And it's a compounding result. I then became the VP of sales, over 100 sales guys in 2016, doing like tens of millions of dollars of revenue in solar. And then in 2018, I left Solcius and founded DDD Experts. And since then, so guys, think about that. 2018 January is our first door-to-door conference. We're on our 9th. And what's cool is I found like a real big passion in investing my door knocking earnings into real estate. And I was the type of guy, like I have 2 guys that drove, one a Urus here and 2 a Lamborghini, another not the SUV, but I have 2 Lamborghinis sitting in my sales boot camp today because we do high level sales psychology training. And so most of these guys are veterans. They've all sold for 3 to 5 years. And, you know, I've watched out in the front of the parking lot at this hotel we're hosting at in Dallas. And I'm like, these are door to door dudes. I never bought the Lambo. I bought real estate, and I bought more real estate, and I bought more real estate and stocks and crypto. And what's cool is it's created a real financial freedom for me. And now since then, I've trained and helped over 683 top knockers in the world, coached tens of thousands of people in over 750 companies. We've built out their platform, and we've trained personally over thousands of companies. And what's cool is we've done multiple tens of millions of dollars in coaching around door-to-door sales. And so there's no other space that could help you than this environment in which you guys are operating in. And so I just want to like welcome you guys to this community. Like, give yourselves a huge round of applause. Like, can I get some like high fives, like big amens to this? Because I think people underestimate and forget the opportunity that you might have right behind this call, because some of you guys are going to go hit the streets right now. Some of you guys are about to go jump in to a neighborhood and sell today, and the difference might be making $1,000 to $20,000 this week. Like that is the difference. And here's the answer: effort does not equal effectiveness. And it's a sad truth. Most people are like, dude, just work hard. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't solve the problem. Because I don't think everybody on this call has a terrible work ethic. I think they have an effectiveness ethic problem. And I use the word ethic in the sense of work ethic. Like, that makes no sense. You're like, why would I use the word ethic next to work? It's like that, like those 2 words, like ethics to me is value system. Ethics to me is like my integrity. And so when you bring up the word work ethic, most people are like effort, work, hard work. And I'm like, yeah, you're making this work really hard. And it sucks. To me, this work becomes really fun when you're effective at it. this work is really hard, so we'll call this hard work, when you suck at it. And what becomes so enjoyable about door-to-door sales is when you have effective effort, and now you start to reap and harvest and gain tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars more. So how hard you work determines if you succeed, and what you work hard on determines how much you succeed. And everybody needs to screenshot this, write this down. I'll say it one more time. How hard you work determines if you succeed, because I can't teach anybody that's not willing to get off their ass. I can't teach anybody that's not in the neighborhood. I can't teach anybody that's not moving and activating. But what you work hard on determines how much you succeed. So, and after examining 683 Golden Door Award winners, a pattern started to emerge. And my team and I found 3 traits that make the top 0.01%. Guys, I've done 450 interviews. We have done Golden Door podcasts on podcasts. So if you have not yet, go subscribe to the DD podcast on, like, pull your phones, go to your Spotify or podcast app. And what I want you to do is I want you to go subscribe, because if you rewind back to like 2017, 18, 19, 20, like, you're going to find nugget on nugget and nugget and nugget. And it's just interviewing these top 1%. And luckily I've been able to put this together, and I created this thing called the Golden Door Triad. Okay. And so everybody, I need you guys ready to jump in. So hit let's go in the chat. Everybody chat in. Let's go. Because we're about to dive into the 3 things. Are you ready? Let's go. Shai, Jeffrey, David. Let's go. Brooks, James, Russell. I got people, Hudson, that's even in the sales boot camp on the webinar. Like, he's double dipping. He's about to start with us at 2:00. We have another one coming up in March. We have some really cool things happening that you guys want to stay till the end, because I'm going to give you guys something really cool. So here we go. The Golden Door Triad, number 1, drum roll, is the first thing is to plan. Now, I will show you, because you think I'm kidding, and I'm actually really bugged, but the problem is I probably bought more of these than anyone else in the entire company, and I made it. So why did I make a DDD planner? And I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to walk you through some of the context. And if you just look at this, you're going to see every single day I have a plan. It's not me just bullshitting. Like, this is me going through my own freaking planner. You pick any page, and I have a plan. I don't just start my day off of the nothingness. And you're going, oh, how do you be effective? And it's like, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? And Winston Churchill, guys, the power of planning. Now, I think a lot of people, they're like, I plan. And I'm like, do you? Do you have like an actual plan to your day? And so I'm going to break this down into some simple context of how I map out my day, okay? And believe it or not, you won't accidentally close more deals. You won't accidentally get a golden door. You won't accidentally create financial freedom. It will happen if your plan is sound. Like, I can shot call, I get 4 deals today. I can shot call how my day goes based on how I plan. And this comes down to a couple concepts, and we're going to go into that here in a second. So imagine if you knew exactly how much money you're going to make in the next 12 months. Imagine you designed this. And it's not only like the no's don't phase you because you know how to take X amount of no's. It's like, I know I'm going to get 100 no's a day. I planned for this, but I also know I'm going to get 4 yeses out of those 100 no's. And so it's like, if you intentionally put this thing, you're going to have your talking trips, and how you're going to buy your toys, and how your money's going to get set aside for assets. And you're going to know, hey, if I can retain this much money, put it this much aside, hit this much in commissions, I can then start creating financial freedom. And so it's going to go, the top 1% is what I've watched, is they know how to plan their day, they plan their career, and they plan their freedom. So I'm going to sit and talk about this for a second. So the first thing is plan your day. And so if you look on here, I basically have broken this down into 3 objectives, okay? And I know this is small, and if you guys on our website, you want to go get the planner, you can. What's funny is I've just finished this one, and they're all at a warehouse somewhere, so I literally have to go buy my own planner to get it shipped to my house because they sit in some shipping company. So it's funny. So I'm breaking this down. So 3 objectives is how I plan out my day, meaning the 3 big dominoes. If I did nothing other than these top 3 things today, and I did not do them, meaning at midnight last night, I was in a gym, guys. Like I was in a hotel gym in Dallas, Texas at midnight doing shoulders. Why? Because that was the only time in my plan earlier in the week that I knew I was going to do my indoor workout at 11 o'clock to midnight. And that was the only time that I was going to get it in. And I wasn't going to make the excuse of I'm traveling and I've got this and that. I knew that I was going to have to do my outdoor workout at this time and my indoor workout at this time. So it's like, no matter what, I'm going to do these things, and there's no negotiating. And it might be at midnight, it might be crying, it might be this and that. Yes, James, me and you and Mark, getting our 75 hard in. But like at the end of the day, I plan my 3 objectives and then I map out my goals. I think too many people talk about goals. They set New Year's resolutions and they set like 1 goal a year. And I'm like, dude, every day I got to put a goal. Today I'm getting 5. Today I'm making 200 grand. Today I'm doing this. Today I'm selling, I'm doing this thing. And I write those in blood. It's not like I keep saying, if you go to my Instagram, I shared a story and it was like this young guy. It was the new rep that sells zero, training all of the veteran reps. What he looks like training the veteran reps. He's like, are you kidding me? So I watched like all these young, broke people that don't have any success, always shot calling, telling quotes, doing these things. And I'm like, okay, hold on, just write it in blood. And if you're not selling 3 in a day and you never sell 3 in a day, then say, I have a goal to get 1 today no matter what. Not like say 3 and then inside never really commit to 3. But it's like, no, I'm no matter what getting that thing. And then I plan the career. And most of you guys are doing door-to-door sales as a temporary thing, or some of you guys aren't like fully in. You're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But I like plan out. And I told myself, guys, and it's funny, some of you guys are like, oh, he doesn't really knock that anymore. I'm like, yeah, because I built that. I told Vivian, I said, I'm going to do this for 5 years. I did this for 5 years. And when I quit, they were like, what the freak? I was like, yeah, I did the thing. I went out and planned it. I did 5 years. I told you 5 years. I made so much money and I put it into real estate. Now I'm going to go do something else because that's what I want to do. And they were like so confused. And they're on this hamster wheel. And I was like, no, I did the thing. I did the doors and then I created financial freedom. And then like I'm moving on. And they were so confused. And I was like, that was the chapter in which I did that because I planned out my freedom. And now that freedom is continuing to change because I want to impact millions of lives all over the world. But at the end of the day, I said, how much money do I need to make, put into real estate to create a passive income to me feel like no matter what shit hits the fan, I've got reoccurring revenue coming in no matter what. And I did that through door-to-door sales, not through DD experts, not through coaching, not through any of this. All of that was done through door-to-door sales. And I used the BRRRR method, buy, rehab, rehabilitate, resell, or hold. I used, I did a lot of things in real estate to set myself up for freedom. But if you don't make money, you don't have anything to invest, how are you supposed to set yourself up financially to free? Like free yourself. So if you're ready to plan and you're ready to plan like a pro, drop a yes in the chat. Come on, I want to hear who's like, I need to level up my planning game. Because if I'm still effing doing this, and this is like KPI goals, like I don't have doors I knock anymore, but I still up and write my effing goal. That day was 50 grand. Like, I'm teaching you a basic principle that so many people overlook. Put a yes in the chat if you're with me. Come on. So next principle is plan. And then the next one is close. Now you guys are going to think I'm like so elementary with this. But too many of you guys are professional talkers, English speakers, but you are not professional closers. No offense. And so let me ask you a question. Would you sign up for a boxing coach? I see Patrick Majewski on here. He's my Draco. So what's up, my Chicago family? But would you sign up for a boxing coach, which he was a professional boxer for Russia for like 10 years. That's why I make the joke, to prepare for an MMA fight? And the answer is no. You'll get destroyed in the hexagon. It's like you should learn. I must break you, Patrick says. Yes. But at the end of the day, he was a boxer. And you put him up against like really skilled MMA, jiu-jitsu, like they have so mixed martial arts in them. He's the one trick, and he probably knows MMA, but at the end of the day, they're both compact sports, but completely different rules and require different skill sets. because the second a wrestler gets him on the ground, he was like, I never learned wrestling. I'm all in the orange, right? And I watch this all the time where different sales trainers, like I'm friends with Jeremy Miner, Andy Elliott, like all these guys. And I'm like, that's really great. You came from car sales, or you do business to business SaaS sales. And I remember reading a book, Spin Selling, phenomenal sales book. And I'm like, none of this applies until I'm in the home at the closing table. But I'm like, if you try to use that stuff on the doors, then you're going to look like an idiot. And I watch so many people have this generic sales advice, and then they are like, why aren't I selling more? And I'm like, because you're taking a SaaS sales question and trying to apply it on a door approach. No offense, but you have no rapport with these people. They're not an inbound lead. They're not somebody you're working a 4-month sales cycle. You're trying to work like a 40-second sales cycle, knock, get in the house, close, repeat. And it's sad to see like people trying to generalize this. And when you know how to close, knock, set, close, your entire world becomes your oyster. Can I get an amen on that? Because some of you guys have like mastered this and or are practicing mastering this. Yes, let's get an amen on this. Because to me, why did I put plan and then I moved to freedom is I found that the top reps. And I was at Active Pest Control a week ago, and I trained a room of 60 people that all raised their hand that said we're all going for Golden Door this year. And it was a little private breakout that they did, facilitated out of their 2,000 sales reps. 60 of them raised their hand and said, I'm going for Golden Door. And so I sit in this room as I coach them, and I say, hey, like, what do we need to do to make this happen? And I'm like, does anybody have any fear or inability or any anxiety around their ability to close? And very few of them actually raised their hand. And I said, now you get to write the oyster. So you get to write your own ticket of matter of now the mentality, which we're going to go to in a second. But it's like they know how to pitch. They know how to handle the objections. They master the nonverbal subcommunication. They present like professionals, and they close with ease. And I watch people in the world of direct sales and door-to-door miss a few of these. Maybe they know how to pitch, but they don't know how to close. And some of you guys in a setter closer model, you know how to close, but you don't know how to pitch. And I'm like, bullshit. Get on the effing doors and go knock. Get on the doors and go knock. And what I mean by that is you're sitting there going, I want to hit a golden door, but I'm like, it's going to be really hard if you're super dependent on the volatility of your setters, or you're super dependent on the volatility of your leads. Meaning you really don't know how to cold call and pitch, and you're really only handing objections that are like subpar, sub objections. And most of you guys you're skipping this whole pitch thing. Go up to a stranger and say, I'm interested in solar. I see James and Mark Brown and some of the Valor guys that are on this. And I'm like, you know what's crazy is I go to Denver to consult this company, and they were like, we want to add solar to our roofing company. So this was like 4 years ago. And I was like, okay, I've come from solar, like, that's fine. So I fly out there. The training that I was going to give was on a Monday. And I show up on Sunday, and it was a nice sunny day like it is in Dallas today. And I was like, well, might as well play 9 holes. And so I go play 9 holes of golf, and I get paired up with a rando, and we're walking. And I was like, talking to him. He's like, why are you in town? And I was like, well, I'm here just helping this company add solar. Have you ever thought about solar? He's like, well, maybe. And I was like, don't even go any farther. And I said, can I set up a demo with you tomorrow virtually? Because I'm going to be in their office training, and I'll use you as my demo. He's like, sure, why not? So I go into the phone, and I get on the Zoom or whatever in front of them in their main class, and we close a $35,000 solar deal in one touch. And these guys were like trying for months to do solar at this point. And I go, well, I pitched him. I handled his objections. I knew his nonverbal and subcommunication. He was an engineer. He wasn't just like the layover tiger kind of personality. I presented like a professional in front of and I used my presentation, and then I closed with ease. Where the ease part, I want you guys to consider this. Ease is an important word here. Again, effort does not equal effectiveness. I think of ease as a byproduct of effectiveness, meaning how effective I am at selling will create the ease of close, or instead of me trying so hard, please close, I'm going to close this, I'm trying, please, I'm trying to get closes. And so many of you guys are selling that way. And I'm like, whoa. You're skipping 1 through 4 because you're like, I am trying to sell you so hard. And I'm like, the people that are the best closers in the top 1%, the Golden Door Triad, these guys close so easily because they're so good at this. And they're like, I don't have to beg. When I ask, so last week we sold, I don't know, $150,000 worth of stuff. And it was pretty effort. I just said, you're going to want to do this. You're going to buy because you choose to, because we've provided so much value. And it's going to be such a no-brainer. And no matter what you're selling, whether it's windows, whether it's fiber, whether it's whatever, you're kind of like, at the end, they should be like, wow, why doesn't everyone do this? Honey, call Tiffany. She needs to get this done too. You know what I mean? Like, that is how I want the end of your sales to look. Not this like, I'm sweating bullets, and if I don't get the sale, I can't pay my rent. And that's how many of you guys play. And the top 1%, if you follow them around, I remember Brigham Lindsay and a guy named Lenny Gray, who wrote The D2D Millionaire. I'm interviewing Lenny Gray on my podcast, and I said, hey, will you do some objection handling with me, right? Top 1%, you wrote a book, D2D Millionaire. And I said, let's like role play out some objections. And he's like, okay. So I'm like, hey, can you just come back later and like leave me a card? He's like, yeah, okay, cool. He leaves me a card. I was like, wait, that like, that's your objection skills? He goes, yeah. I mean, I just don't waste my time. Like, I just know if I hit my numbers, I'm gonna do my thing, and I'm gonna say, you're not my customer. Like, the type of customer you just were being and asking for a card, I don't even want to sell you. I'm gonna go to the neighbor and sell them. And I was like, because in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna battle this out. I'm gonna like bob and weave with this guy in the freaking rink for a minute. And you know what I mean? Like, and this guy wrote the book. I'm over here like, that was it? Like, wow, that was super unassuming. And he goes, the profile in which you role played with me isn't my customer, and I like to close with ease. Damn. And I'll go talk to enough people, and I know my process and my buying profiles that I will just sell that many people. I was like, okay, touche. Where some people, I have probably a little bit more style than he maybe had, and not that one's right or the other, but if I start to compare top 1% here, I start to realize, like, man, some people just go and they know how to spend the time with the right people. And that goes to this next phrase, okay? And so I just put a plug in this, because this is leading me into the third piece of the triad, okay? Do you see how different D2D sales is than maybe, I don't know, software sales or car sales? Dude walks on lot, you sell car. Does anybody feel like they live in a different universe sometimes? Like, I have to go freaking hunt. I have to go convince them to stop cooking their macaroni and cheese and watch the football game to, you know what I mean? And it's just like, we're in a different sales environment. Everybody put a yes in the chat. Let's go. So what's interesting is number one is plan. Number two is close, because the confidence in one's ability to close is what then they can never get taken away from. Once you have the confidence to, I can find them, I can warm them up, and I can skin them, I can close them down. You know every step of the sales process, making you the most valuable asset in any sales organization, in any organization, because you have no marketing dollar. You are creating something from nothing. You're not asking for W2 base. So everything that you're creating is 100% eat what you kill, meaning true value creation, start to finish. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Where Ken Garff, auto dealer, had to put thousands into marketing and billboards, and then a dude had to show up, and then the closer's like, yeah, I sold that guy. I'm like, well, he was shopping online with 3 other dealers before he showed up to the dealership, and had the website dude not have good SEO to then not present your cars that he came in already knowing, you would have not sold the dude. Like, let's just be facts. Your company had to do complete good job of having a nice showroom to you to sell, or door to door. I'm going to their freaking house, and I don't care about, like, I don't have to have a logo. I don't have to have any like material. I don't have to exist for 25 years. I don't have to have a website, and I can convert business. Do you realize that? Think about that. It's the most beautiful thing. We're not an order taker. So the last one is we know how to multiply. Write that down. Multiply comes from now that you've created independence, like TJ said. Love that. Now that you've got this like skill set to where I can confidently create money out of nothing, you'll never unlock your true freedom and wealth and income if income is still tied to your time. And so remember how I talked about, he's like, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to spend my time. So time is something you can spend, waste, borrow, multiply, leverage. You see where I'm getting at? Time is the most valuable resource. And to escape the trap of time, you need leverage. Everybody just say leverage. Write that down. Now, Archimedes said, if you can give me a fulcrum and a lever long enough, I can move the world. So meaning leverage is just give me a long enough fulcrum and I could literally move the world, and it's simple math. It's simple equation. So there's a guy named Naval that was a silicone like juggernaut, written some awesome books. If you've not read some of his, some phenomenal philosophy, and business mogul. He's like a $4 billion unicorn, just absolute stud. And he talks about these 4 levels, or these 4 types of leverage. And the first one is labor. And what's so interesting about, if you look at like the government macroeconomics right now, is they're deporting a lot of legal immigrants. And so you're like, wow, we're in the home service business. So a lot of the technicians, a lot of people that do the work are actually, the cost of that's going up. So what's interesting is we're going to see a different landscape when it comes to servicing industries, just due to the fact that there's a higher, stricter labor or border patrol. But number 2 is you look at like my ability to then one sell is my ability to then one recruit and train somebody to sell, because I can only sell so many in a day. But if I had 100 of my same likeness, now I've just multiplied time. Because if I can sell, let's say 5 in a day, and as Dan Martell would put it, as long as you can put 80% as good as you are, meaning if I'm selling 5, they're doing 4 or 3, and I had 100 of them doing 3, that means I'm doing 300 in a day versus me doing 5. Does that make sense? 100 people doing 3 in a day is much better than me doing 6 in a day. Everybody put a yes to that. And when we can learn not to just multiply our labor, but also multiply our time through creating efficiency, we then learn how to make more money faster. And everybody put a hands up if they want a more money faster approach to this. And I don't think sales needs to come slow. The beauty is like, I'm a 10-year overnight success, great. But I don't think people realize that to multiply by creating more efficiency with time and people, we then get more money faster, which then you get the power of compounding interest. Warren Buffett said the most powerful thing in the world is compounding interest. And so the reality is you can have compounding effort, compounding time, compounding money, compounding interest on your investment, and then you have media. So capital is what you need to then go invest, but you also need human capital to invest. But then if you think about the media, your ability, the more deals you get, the more influence you have. And I think one of the people that they don't realize, Adam Shantz is one of the best sales guys in the planet by far. He's spoken door-to-door the last 2 years. My best week was 29. So I'm going to discredit myself, and I was the number 1 guy. He works at his own company. He's the owner, has 400 sales rep. His best week is 220. Fathom that. I couldn't sell 220 candy bars to homeowners. You know what I mean? You have to be a homeowner. He installs alarm. And I go, what the hell? How did he do that? How many is that a day? Adam Shantz. So you kind of, everybody's like, he's shady, he's this, right? Everybody's going to do the math. So divided by 6, that's 36 deals a day. And let's say he worked from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Let's just give him the longest day possible. So that would be 12, 13, 14, 15. Let's say he works 16 hours a day. That would mean if he works 16 hours a day, he still did 2.3 per hour. And so you divide that by 60 minutes, every 15 to 20 minutes, he's selling a job. That's including his drive time, his paperwork time, his, getting no's time. It's like, do the math. Now that I just gave you what's possible, like I said, I've interviewed all the top 1%. I'm going to give you a tip of what's called leverage. The first day, so he went to the church on Sunday he then gave a big donation. He's like, hey guys, I'm just here in town for the week doing a blitz. We're protecting homes and family, not trying to sell you. Anyway, everybody loved him. They sets up a bunch of meetings. Instead of having one meeting with one person, he says, in order for me to meet with you at 8 o'clock before you go to work, I want you to bring your friends and family over, and I need you to have at least 5 people, and I'll give you $100 for every one of them that sign up. And then you see where this is going. He then signs the mayor on the first day. Monday, signs up the mayor. He says, I'll give you $100 cash. Every person that you get me, get it. How many do you think you can get? Oh, I can get like 50. She gets 22. Then she sets up another guy that has quite a few influence on the town. Says, I'll give you $100 cash. And all of a sudden, he gets the whole neighborhood. He had this like short, chubby, 100-pound, little fat 8-year-old kid going up in front of the doors before him. He got the whole neighborhood working for him. Because the more customers you have, the more loudness you can get as long as you ask. And then how do you create automation through code efficiency and through systems? So he's like, I'm not that smart with tech. I don't have this. My guy behind me, he's going to do the paperwork and stuff with the iPad and stuff. I don't really know how to do that, so I'll pass you over to him, and I got to go. So he doesn't have to run the credit and do the paperwork and all this stuff. The guy behind him does it. He goes to the next one. Hey, Susan, hey, your friend Tom, he said, hey, you want this, so I'm going to send my tech over there. He'll do all the paperwork. We'll get you up. It's $50 a month. And now he starts leveraging time, people, referrals, network, media, channels, church, and now all of a sudden you watch him multiply. So imagine your team is out knocking doors, bringing in revenue while you're spending time with your family. Because he doesn't knock much. He only knocks 1 week a year. And guys, in that 1 week, he'll sell more than 99% of people in the entire door-to-door space. And he has 400 people knocking for him, so why would he go out? He just does it to prove a point. So you knock one door, turns into 2 or 3 more deals, and your money works for you. Your door knocking turns into assets that generates income on autopilot with or without you. Like, I want you guys to picture this for a second, okay? And the top 1%, they know how to multiply their opportunities. Everybody say it with me, opportunities. Say it like, I don't care if you're in the car or you're on mute, just say it, opportunities. They know how to multiply themselves, and they know how to multiply their earnings. Because in my mind, and maybe I was just like not great at math, but this simple math problem is I'd rather be operating in a multiplication type of business where money comes in multiplication than it does in addition. And addition is where it's one by one. I get one customer, then another customer, then another customer. But somebody wants to multiply their earnings, knows how to play the game in multiplication. And if you think about it, the way that you can multiply your opportunities is through recruiting, efficiency, time, selling in bulk, getting people referrals, media, all that stuff. And I can go down so many rabbit holes of teaching that. That's why I'm at a 2-day event right now in person where I get to spend 2 full days teaching this. And you guys got like the freemium, hey, cool, I'm just like here hoping in 45 minutes is going to give me everything you can. And I am trying. I literally am trying, but I'm trying to be efficient with time too. But I'm here to help you multiply your earnings. And effort is how you get rich. Leverage is how you get wealthy and free. I'll say it again. Effort is how you get rich. Leverage is how you get wealthy and free. Do you now see the path to wealth? Drop a yes in the chat. Come on. Guys, I think this is where most of you guys have been playing a game that has been like, hey, how do I go get rich? And you're playing a game of effort. You're not playing a game of leverage. And if there's one thing I can do to invite you right now, it's to shift your mindset to say, how do I shift to not just plan, not just close, but now to leverage? Because this is the secret sauce that like most people aren't thinking. They're thinking effort. Work hard, because that's what mom and dad said. Work hard, because that's what your manager keeps beating into you. I'm like, no. Practice leverage and do it well. So have you gotten value so far? Drop a value in the chat. I want to hear a value. Write value. I'd love to see some engagement here, guys, because I got something for you. And even if, guys, I'm like, even if you've just used a tiny fraction of what we spoke about today, would you consider your time well spent? Like, the reality is, if we just used one little piece of this, and so I want to introduce something, and my team and I were like, hey, this was way more than, like, there's so much more. So that's why I was like, team, in a webinar,